Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Els van der Wilden from Global Office GS1, and I would like to welcome all of you in this webinar where we will get a very clear introduction from Sotiris, who will introduce himself briefly later on. And Sotiris works in the Greek Army Medical Supply Center. He's a pharmacist and he has a very big responsibility in the Army's healthcare supply chain. We have asked Sotiris to share with us the work he has done so far on implementing the GS1 standards in the Greek Army Medical Supply Center, and explain to us in the end which the big challenges are that he faces in future. I would like to look at the next slide and introduce briefly to you what our webinars are about. Some housekeeping rules. All attendees, you will be on mute, and I invite you, if you've got any questions, please post them in the right text block, and I will monitor the questions, and at the end of the call we will make sure that Sotiris will answer the questions. After the webinar, the recording will be posted somewhere next week on our website, and also all previous webinars are located at that position. So if you want to check any other resources, please feel free. And also GS1 has no difficulties whatsoever, and Sotiris shared, he doesn't have either, if you want to share the link with any other parties. So please feel free. Then on the next slide, could you move? Yeah, thank you. On the next slide, we have some brief information. What is the HPAC? GS1 is engaging very much in healthcare, and we have a healthcare provider advisory council, and the webinars is an important way of using all our means and the expertise we have to share information with you. So the webinars are used for sharing, for discussion. We identify projects and case studies. Our member organizations will bring important projects and case studies to our attention, and then we will use these for scheduling new webinars. And we use the webinars also to share information with people that are not yet familiar with the GS1 standards and what GS1 standards actually can do in healthcare. When we look at the next slide, then you see we have the webinars, which we have monthly, except in the month of January, because then in the first week too many people are still on holiday, which we value very much. And we have HPAC awards. Twice per year we have a global healthcare conference, and at the healthcare conference there is one award for the best provider case study and one award for the provider recognition. On our website you will find more information about that. And our next conference will be in Berlin from April 4 to April 6. And in coming weeks you will find the agenda for the conference and the program on our website. With this we can move to the next slide. And I would like to hand over from this point the presentation to Sotiris, and thanking you again, Sotiris, for sharing your experience and expertise with us. Please welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Els, for the introduction. I'd like to thank GS1 Global Office for giving me the opportunity to present our work in implementing GS1 standards for our supply center. And I would also like to thank GS1 Association Greece for all the support they have provided us not only during this implementation, but from the very beginning of our quest for new standards in the healthcare section of the Army, back in 2011 when we started. So, to move on, the agenda of today's presentation. First of all, a few words and some metrics about our Greek Army's Medical Supply Center, who we are and what we do, the former situation and the challenges and issues we had to solve, the solution, what solution we implemented, how we did it, and what we did, what outcomes did we have, and we will answer the question, are we any better now? The next steps after implementing GS1 standards in our facilities, what will be our next steps, and finally learnings from these implementation and recommendations to anyone who wants to go that way using GS1 standards. So, about my Army unit, our Greek Army's Medical Supply Center. We actually are the starting point of Greek Army's healthcare supply chain. We source, we store, and we distribute pharmaceuticals, medical devices, minor equipment, medical instruments, veterinary products, and all medical supplies you can find in a hospital. We also have a small production plant. We have a small production facility, and we produce about 35 different pharmaceuticals of general use in various forms, like some general use antibiotics, some anti-inflammatory ointments and pills, and some syrups and liquids. All of them are about 35 different items. We support all Army units directly or indirectly, both medical and non-medical, and we also support our personnel or Army units deployed abroad for peacekeeping missions. We also have readiness for distributing humanitarian aid in case of a large-scale disaster, for example an earthquake or a big fire, if needed. Some metrics about last year's business. During 2015, we distributed more than 1,500 unique SKUs. That translates into more than 2 million items, and our mean stock value was over 2.5 million euros. We sourced our products from nearly 80. We run, as a starting point, a nationwide network of 11 regional warehouses and 3 major military hospitals. We also support 35 to 40 non-medical units as direct clients. This is a pie chart I prepared just to show you the distribution of the categories of items distributed during 2015. As you can see, pharmaceutical items and medical devices, along with dental equipment and consumables, are the 3 top categories. We also distribute, as you can see, surgical sutures, microbiology equipment and consumables, radiology consumables, hospital equipment, veterinary drugs, gauze and related items. To go on with the former situation, how was the situation before the implementation of GS1 standards? Greek Army uses its own proprietary closed codification system for the medical material, pharmaceutical and medical material. Actually, all NATO member countries have to use the NATO codification system, NCS, and assign their items with the NATO stock number. This is not the case with us. We use our own system. I'm not going to get into more details about that. Another thing that you have to know is that we don't have a standard description for items. We have a code, but we don't have a standard description like perhaps GMDN. And there is no relation between our own stock numbers and suppliers' codes, stock numbers, may be this GTIN or another code. That way, it's very difficult to clearly identify items without our national stock number, our own stock number. And for specialized items, e.g., for example, surgical instruments, it's almost impossible to clearly identify an item like that without the national stock number. That gave us a lot of problems because we usually had some cases where the same stock number was assigned for different items that was slightly different but not absolutely identical. We also support our operations with a custom-built ERP system that was implemented about 16 years ago. It supports our operations well, but there's no warehouse automation support built in it. We can't automate using this ERP our warehouse procedures. We try to do our best registering lot numbers and expiry dates of our products in the ERP database, and so far this was done manually, not automatically. Also, movements of items, goods receipts, stock movement inside the warehouse or orders fulfillment, were also tracked at the lot level, but also manually, not with an automated, in an automated way. This means that all our processes were manual. All our processes were based on printed picking lists that had to be printed and checked and rechecked until the issue of the final invoice. Also, a very big problem for us was that we couldn't find the exact location of an item or lot because the exact location was not recorded in the ERP. So so far we reside to the person who works in the warehouse to find the location of the item. And if this item was a slow mover, then it was really difficult to locate it. Another issue we had is that due to errors in the manual registration of lots and expiry, production dates, and all the details of the items, we fed our ERP with bad data. That resulted in errors in the preparation of orders, lengthy order fulfillment times, and as you can imagine, if you don't have the right expiry dates in the system, some items will end their life on the shelf. That means product obsolescence and consequently capital loss. And as I said before, we didn't know a lot where is in the warehouse, but also we were not able to know for sure. We're not able to know 100% to be 100% sure if a certain lot has been delivered to the client our system indicates. And this is, as you can imagine, a very big problem in terms of traceability. So, challenges. We needed to clearly and uniquely identify each stock item, not using our own proprietary system, but using a global codification system, a system that we will not be responsible to maintain, that another would maintain for us, and we only take advantage of it using it. We also wanted to have the ability to automatically collect item data using AIDC, meaning automatic identification and data capture methods. We also wanted to have less or even zero errors in order fulfillment, because our clients kept saying to us about the errors and the items they did not receive, and we also wanted to be more efficient inside the warehouse. We wanted to be quicker in our operation and more efficient. Also, a big challenge is to know exactly which item and lot is inside the warehouse, and to know exactly where each item and lot has been delivered, to which client has been delivered, and to be 100% sure. Finally, we wanted to be able to better collaborate with our suppliers and clients in case not only of recalls, but in case of orders and returns and all the stuff between us. So we wanted, but most of all, we wanted to be able to conduct fast and accurate recalls. The solution, after a long quest, a lot of reading and searching, we ended up with the GS1 system of standards. And this was our system of choice for implementing it in our facilities. And there are certain reasons for that. First of all, the GTIN, the Global Trade Item Number, allows us to identify items 100%, to uniquely identify all items. Secondly, this system gives us the ability to issue our own GTINs for our own pharmaceutical products, for the products we produce, and for items that are not already codified by the suppliers or the producers. Also, GS1 system gives us the ability to incorporate crucial product information in a barcode, the information that will follow each item as it moves through our warehouse. It gives us the ability to have, with the physical flow of the items, the flow of the information that is so important to do our job correctly and safely. After all, GS1 system is an open system of standards. There are no huge costs to adapt, except the software maybe. And as I said, there's no need for us to maintain our own codification system. No need to allocate people, to allocate resources for maintaining a codification system, a closed and proprietary system. And finally, the general picture is that GS1 system is a robust and expandable framework that can be used for standardizing our business, covering 100% of our needs. So, what were our first steps? First of all, we had to decide which GS1 standards should be used, because most of you know that the GS1 system of standards has a galaxy of standards. We should focus to the standards that they would do our job as we wanted. Secondly, we had to define the range of the implementation, at least at the beginning. Should we do a pilot first in some categories, or should we fully implement the system for the whole range of our products? Actually, we decided to go with a pilot first, only for pharmaceuticals and the fast-moving medical devices, see how this will go, and then continue with the implementation with the rest of our products. A very crucial step was to contact GS1 Association Greece to know more technical details about the GS1 system. As I said at the beginning, we were already in cooperation with GS1 Association Greece, and during the implementation they helped us a lot, giving us all the technical details we needed for our WMS warehouse management system to implement it correctly. Another very, very important issue was that we didn't have, as I said, an ERP system ready for accepting the GS1 system standards. So we needed a new software, another software, a WMS, a warehouse management software that would operate in parallel with our ERP and would utilize all the GS1 standards. So we engaged a software vendor and implemented this software for us. Finally, along with the implementation of the WMS platform, we had to once again review our workflows and procedure according to the new rules. The new rules based on the GS1 standards and based on the way the WMS, the warehouse management system, worked. What codes did we use? That's a good question. We didn't use GTINs from the beginning. For pharmaceuticals, we used, first of all, the national stock number already existing on the box of each pharmaceutical, on the safety label. Here in Greece, each drug box have printed a label on it with a safety label, and on the safety label there is the national stock number barcoded. So we had a national barcode bearing a national code, and we also used GTINs for some products where it existed, and some products have already that are in the Greek market have already GTINs on their boxes. For our own production pharmaceuticals, we issued our own GTINs for use inside the Greek Army supply chain. For the medical devices, most of them have a GTIN, most items have a GTIN, so we use the GTIN, and if there is no GTIN, we issue our own GTIN as we did for the non-codified items, as we did for our pharmaceuticals. The important point here is that we had to relate our existing codes with the GTINs, because as I said before, there was no such relation in the ERP, and because all our clients still use the old Army's codification system. So we need to translate the old codes to the GS1 codes in order to fulfill orders and to distribute items, and to know for our clients what exactly they receive, what items exactly they receive. Main type of barcodes used. We mainly use the GS1 128 and GS1 data matrix barcodes. And that is because these barcodes can bear all the crucial information we want. GTIN, the code of the item, the expiry date, the lot number, these are the crucial information for us. You can see on the slide that there is a serial number. We don't use serial number. We don't track our pharmaceuticals with serial number, because most of the pharmaceuticals that circulate in the Greek market, they don't have a serial number in the way the GS1 system describes it. We use the serial number for medical equipment, medical minor equipment. So these two barcodes are the main barcodes we are using for all the products we distribute. A very important thing is that we can assign a different GTIN at each packaging level. This makes our job very, very, very easier, because we don't have to scan each time 100 boxes. We can scan a packet or a carton or a pallet once, and all the relevant information will be recorded in the WMS. And this really made our life very, very, very easier. And as you can imagine, more accurate. It's another thing to have to scan 100 or 200 items, and another thing to only scan once. These are two pictures of our products. On the right hand side, it's the label of a carton box of paracetamol with the GS1 data matrix printed on it. And on the left hand side, two of our products, bearing the GS1 data matrix on their labels. You can see in the machine readable and the human readable form of the label. So, to go on with the solution, in order to know exactly where everything is, we needed to do a detailed mapping of all our warehouse. So what we did, we assigned a unique ID for each shelf, an ID printed on a barcode label. We did, as I said, a very detailed review of, I can say sometimes we also redesigned some of our organization workflows and procedures in the warehouse according to the new rules. And we mandated the use of handheld terminals in all warehouse operations. From day one when we went live, printed picking lists stopped existing. After that day, only handheld terminals could be used for doing all the warehouse operations. What we did in the warehouse during our day-to-day work, at each movement, an item, when it's moved inside, not only inside the warehouse, but when we do a goods receipt, when we change an item's position from shelf to shelf, or when we prepare our orders, we always scan the item barcode, the lot barcode, and the location barcode. That way, we can verify that we take the right product, the right lot, from the right location. Using terminals, information is captured and registered in the WMS quickly and accurately. We don't make mistakes. And this is done, I said again, every time a movement occurs. Even if we take a small box of tablets and put it from the one shelf to the shelf right next to it. So, as you can understand, products can be placed anywhere. We don't have a standard shelf for each product as we did with the old system, because location is registered in the WMS, and this gives us great flexibility in putting our products where we want to put them in order to be quicker in mainly in order picking. Great flexibility. Also, we have speed in order picking because warehouse personnel are guided to the exact location of each item inside the warehouse. They use the handheld terminal, and the terminal, on the screen of the terminal, they know this, they see exactly where they have to go in order to pick the item. And also, the warehouse management software alerts the users when an expired or quarantined item or lot is scanned. That means, as you can understand, safety for our clients. And also, all warehouse operations are now standardized, and this means that all operations are more user independent. A new user needs a little training to be able to take the terminal and go in the warehouse and begin doing its work. So, what were our outcomes? We don't have any more bad data registered in the ERP. As I said, we register data automatically. So we have fewer errors in order fulfillment. We are faster in our operation. We don't need to check printing list twice or three times before finalizing the order. And we have accuracy and clear view of our stock. I don't need to go and see the shelf if the item is on the shelf. I see it on my monitor, on my screen, and I know that the item is there, that the lot is there. easier, all these new procedures are easier for the personnel. As I said, even the less experienced. They just need 1 or 2 days training and they can go and work easily. Alerts ensure that expired or recalled items will never leave the warehouse. Thus, having safety for all our clients. No expired or recalled items will ever reach any client of us. And of course, accurate lot tracking allows us to know and to be 100% sure where an item has been delivered. And just 2 printings of a picking list. On the left, a picking list before the implementation. You can see the corrections and all the remarks written on it, and a very tight and clear picking list. After the implementation, we don't use any more picking list. We just print the final picking list just for our archives. Improvements. So we measured ourselves, and during 2015, during the first year of operation, we have a stock accuracy raised at about 10%. Especially for fast-moving items, we reached 96%. We have a reduction in error rate from 10 to 3%, and a reduction in order fulfillment time approximately 25 to 30%. There is a big gain in productivity. We measured this some weeks ago. More than 20 hours gained each month for our warehouse personnel. 20 hours free for our personnel to work in other things. We can also conduct recalls faster, and we tested this in a recent case where we had to track a certain lot of a syringe, and we did it in less than 2 hours. We found where every item, every piece of this lot has been delivered. And of course, we have full traceability of our items and lots inside the warehouse. We know exactly where an item is, and from where it has come to the place it is now. So we implemented it. We implemented the system. It went well, but we think that we have more to do with GS1's standards. We have already implemented the system at our 2 major regional warehouses of medical supplies. This is done since May this year, and we are planning to expand the system to more regional warehouses. In the short-term targets is to implement EDI for mastered item data exchange, order processing, and invoicing and dispatch advices. Also, there is an interest of a pharmacy of one of our regional military hospitals for a pilot implementation of the system. This will be quite interesting because we are not implementing in a warehouse anymore. We are implementing in a hospital. And our long-term targets, it's an issue of a technical instruction for medical devices, only for the Greek Army, according to the GS1 system of standards, and the implementation of GS1 standards for our pharmaceuticals production line. As I said, the production facility we have in the medical supplies center. What were our learnings from all this? What you need to know is that implementation of standards, GS1 standards, is not a ready-made solution. And many people take this by mistake and think that if they just grab a bunch of Excel files and or a ready database, they can operate according to the system. That's not true. Implementing this system is a very live process that is going on and on every day, evolves day by day. And to tell you the truth, there is no point that you can say, okay, I'm at the top, I can't do anything more. You must have in mind that when you will start the implementation, there will be resistance by the people, the usual resistance of the people to change their way of work. That's why users should be engaged at an early stage in order to overcome what I say, the fear of the unknown. So it's most important to be trained well and to be supported. Another thing is that usually the engagement of the IT department, of your IT department, is needed, and the engagement of the IT department is crucial. But don't let them have the last word. The last word should the users, the real users of the system, should have the last word. Those users that on the front line, like pharmacists, nurses, physicians, and all the personnel that have to deal with the products, with the items at everyday work. And what we also learned, that large multinational companies are okay and they fully comply with GS1 standards. But smaller local vendors and suppliers, they don't know many things about GS1 system yet, at least here in Greece. So they need our focus, they need our help and our guidance in order to implement GS1 standards for their products, in order to consequently make our jobs and lives easier. Recommendations. First of all, identify in detail the challenges and describe in detail the operations where standards need to be implemented. And with that, you should build a strong, well-documented case to present it to your higher management, because you need to gain the trust and support of your higher management, because at the end they will give the money, and money is always the question. Fully and truly support the engaged personnel. I said it before, I will say it once again. They have to be truly supported in order to overcome their fear, their initial fears. If they overcome their fears, they will become the best users, that they won't do any step without their handheld terminals. You should also use KPIs to measure your outcomes and your performance. If you don't have any KPIs, you have to invent KPIs in order to know if all this implementation helped you and how much. Engage your suppliers. I said it before, engage your suppliers, and especially the smaller ones. If they become part of the GS1 system, then your work, your job, and your lives, as our lives will become easier. And last but not least, the mantra for this implementation is just 4 words: build, try, correct, repeat. Only this way you will implement a successful system. And lastly, there's no need to hesitate. Take the decision and go on with the implementation of GS1 system of standards. It will be for the good of everyone. Thank you. I'm done with my presentation, And thank you for listening. These are my this is my contact information. Feel free to contact me anytime, send me emails if you have more things to ask or for every other reason. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sotiris, for sharing this wonderful presentation with us. You shared clearly that it is a very live process, but you also said several times it made life easy and more accurate. And I will ask all of you to, if you've got any questions, please put them in the text block. And I have some questions that I will share with you. But first of all, I have a compliment to share with you that one of our participants phrased very, very clearly. He said that this is a fantastic example of practicality of implementing GS1 standards, and please receive the congratulations for you and your team. There are, however,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome on behalf of the one who gave you the compliment. There's, however, still a question left. Your software system, what software system do you use to generate and actually bring the barcodes for products that do not have a barcode when you receive them? Could you explain that one?
Yes. That's a good question, because this was a very difficult case, and to tell you the truth, we have not solved this case 100% so far. So we implemented the labeling as part of our warehouse management software. So when products arrive in our warehouse, we do the receipt, we make the receipt, and we put products on the shelf. And next step is to, if there is no let's take it from the beginning. If there is no label for the product, we have to firstly print the label. In order to do that, we have a module in our warehouse management software. We firstly print the label, and then we attach the label on the box and then scan the data. But what we want to do is register the data on the handheld terminal, and at the same time print the label. So there is a manual registration of data, because there will be no label as the products arrive in the warehouse, but the label will be printed before the products, the cartons or the boxes before they are put on the shelf. We don't, as I said before, we haven't solved it yet 100%. We are working on it, but the main idea is this, that we register data in the terminal, and at the same time as we enter the data, a label is printed with a GS1 128 label and attached on the box, and after that products take their position on the shelves.
Okay, thank you. One more question arises, just came in, which has to do with the one you were explaining us right now. Maybe I will pose that question to you first and then proceed with the rest. The question is, why did you choose the GS1 data matrix for labeling the cartons as well as the base unit? And why did you not take, this is a very technical question, why did you not take the GS1 128? Could you answer that one?
Yes, mainly it was because we didn't have enough space on our labels. But another thing is that it was more, how can I say that, aesthetically pleasing, the GS1 data matrix. It was better. It looked better in the eyes of our how can I say that, of our of the pharmacists that they are in the production line and they do the labeling. It's mainly for aesthetic causes. There is no real difference because we both barcodes have exactly the same data. To tell you the truth, I wanted the GS1 at 128 at the beginning, but it makes no real difference for us, practically.
Okay. What you say, if I summarize, is that the data containing in either the 128 or the data matrix, the data containing is the same, and you had had two reasons. One, the aesthetical one, that everything looks the same, I can imagine, and the second one is you also said you needed some space.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, one more question related to this one is also a bit a technical one, but do you use the GLN, the location, and the SSCC on the so the GLN on your location, like the shelf, and the SSCC on your carton?
No, we are not using GLNs yet, nor SSCC, and we have not. We are trying to. We are thinking of using GLNs and SSCCs as long as we start implementing EDI communication between our distribution centers. We don't use GLNs yet. We are SSCCs, but we are certainly thinking of doing so.
Yeah, and another question connected to this subject as well is, if you do not use GLNs, then how do you use a unique ID for the shelves in the warehouse? Because you explained in the beginning that you also have identified your shelves. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yes. Well, what we did was to make a detailed mapping using a very specific scheme of our warehouses and shelves. So we have a very specific way of giving a unique ID to every shelf. Every warehouse has its own ID, every row has its own ID, and every column has its own ID. So combining all these IDs together, we produce a unique ID for its stock bin, for its shelf. It's not a GLN, but it's unique. You cannot, but it's unique only for our facility, not for other facilities. Other facilities have, the other two facilities where we implemented the system, they have their unique location identifiers, not GLNs, according to a similar SIM.
Okay, and are you planning in the future to use also the GLNs, or will you continue to use your own system?
We are definitely planning to use GLNs, but I don't know in which level we will have to implement it. Yeah. Maybe we only implement GLN for at the distribution center level, or maybe at the warehouse level. I don't know if we will go down to the level of the stock bin, of the shelf.
Okay.
This is something I don't know yet.
Something you will still will see in future.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's clear. Another question concerning your IT supplier. You explained to us that your WMS provider needed some extra knowledge on GS1. Was that something that you had to do, or did GS1 Greece play a big role in that?
The technical details about the GS1 implementation was given to us from GS1 Association Greece, but our IT provider wasn't in direct communication with GS1. All data, all information came from GS1 to us, and we, as a middle part, went down with the IT software company and implemented the solution. There was no.
Yeah, so in fact you say the technical part GS1 Greece had a role in, but to make a tailor-made system, definitely it was you who were in contact with the provider.
Exactly.
So that they could accommodate all your requests in a good way. Yeah,
yes.
okay. Well,
yes,
thank you. That's clear. So you in fact, you say you need a very good cooperation, that the IT provider will have the technical details from GS1, but you need a tailor-made system whereby your request can be accommodated in a good way.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And another thing is that our IT department had also a very good knowledge of our logistics procedures and could cooperate very closely with the solution provider with no misunderstandings and problems. And that is one of the reasons that this implementation was such a success.
Okay, very good. Thank you. You said in the beginning that you started in 2011. There's also a question if you could explain a little bit how long does implementation take? So maybe how long after 2011 before you actually already saw some results?
So, well, to be precise, back in 2011 we started looking for a codification system, a standardization system, and we came upon the GS1 system. When we finally had the funding, had the money to do the implementation, it was November of 2014. We started, September 2014. We started implementing the software on October 2014, and we went live on January 2015. So we needed just 3, maybe 4 months to make the initial implementation, and in order to start the pilot. And that is because before engaging the software solution provider, we knew exactly what we want. And before starting the implementation, there was about a year of 10 to 12 months of continuous searching about what standards we will use and what barcodes and how we will change our procedures and all the stuff about our job. So to make it clear, we needed about 10 to 12 months to find out what exactly we wanted from the GS1 system, and about 4 months for the implementation. And we needed another 6 months for the pilot in order to run, try, correct, etc., etc. I think that a full frame of a time of 2 years, it's the time we needed for the full implementation.
Okay, so what you actually say to us that your the work that you have done before you actually could start implementing and start with the pilot, that was the longest period, and that took about a year. And then you need, once you start implementing, you can proceed quite fast because you have already addressed so many issues in your preliminary phase. Do I
Yes,
phrase that
exactly.
right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. When I look at the question section, I do not see any new questions coming in. I see quite some compliments for your clear story and for the good results you have reached so far. We still have a few minutes left, so if anybody would still want to pose a question, please feel free. I will watch closely. I have one more question that I would like to pose you at this, since we still have some minutes left. You said that the higher management actually always needs to take a decision because they will need to support you on the financial aspects as well. What did you actually need to convince your higher management? Because you're in a government organization. Army is always linked to government, so it's very sometimes the decision making is also complex and politically based. So could you explain us a little bit on what was your success factor in convincing your higher management?
To tell you the truth, convincing our higher management wasn't the hard part of the job, and that is because my commander, he is a pharmacist too, and he has worked for many years in the production facility, so he could clearly understand the benefits of such an implementation. So after my commander, we have to present our case to the Army General Staff, to the Medical Directorate, where and we talked there to them. We talked numbers. So we presented the case of how much money we could save, streamlining our processes, minimizing the obsolescence and the capital lost of expired items expired on the shelves, and mainly this. We said that we presented a case where the money needed for the implementation of the warehouse management system was much less than the financial loss we had the past 3 years from expired materials.
Okay, so you say you have, in fact, you say you had two ways in convincing. The first one you report to was already supportive, and the second one is you made a clear business case that showed the benefits of starting and implementing.
Yes, a short but clear business case.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. When I look at the time, and there are no new questions coming in now, when I look at the time, I want to thank you very much, Sotiris, for sharing in a very clear way with us what can actually be achieved in a brief period of time, if I call 2 years brief, and where you then also are able to set up a system with a clear return on investment. I also want to thank everybody in the audience for sharing with us in this webinar. And I wish you all the luck that you need and all the wisdom to continue, because you shared with us some challenges of expanding and of further implementing GS1 in your system. And look forward to keep in touch, and we will definitely hear from you more in future. So thank you very much, Sotiris, for sharing with us, and thank you very much everybody who was in the audience. And I wish you a very good day, and the results of this webinar, the recording and the presentation will be on our website next week. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you and have a good evening, all of you.
Thank you, Sotiris.